Hello, this is Doug Gerlach from iCLUBcentral. I'm here with Russell Malley, our official club accounting advisor for iCLUBcentral, for tonight's club operations and accounting webinar. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. Yeah, we're going to have another loose format tonight. We're going to take a lot of user attendee questions, so feel free if you've got a burning issue you'd like us to talk about, please let us know. We're also going to talk about myICLUB a little bit more. This is the time of the year when we're doing a lot of development work on myICLUB. We're adding features and functionality, so I thought I'd give you a little update. We did this 2 months ago as well, but we'll give you an update on what we've got going on. And we've still got a whole lot more of new features and functionality we'll be releasing over the summer to our myICLUB product. So before we get started, let's go ahead and remind you all that if you are having technical problems, to contact GoToWebinar directly at their toll-free number or on their website. Make sure that if you're having any sort of difficulty hearing the audio or seeing the programming, to turn off any unnecessary programs. Don't connect using Wi-Fi. If you are in a home computer network, it may be that other people in your home are streaming video, and that will deteriorate your connection to the webinar as well. And always remember that you can listen using the telephone. Put that mobile phone into hands-free mode and listen right along with the programming. If you have a question, just type it into the GoToWebinar application in the questions box. Both Russell and I are monitoring those questions, and we'll do our best to address them all as they come in. The handout for tonight's presentation, as always, is now available in the Handouts tab, so you can click to download that PDF of the slides from tonight's presentation. So grab those at any point while the webinar is active. You can print them out quickly or save them for future reference. Now, on our iClub.com website, you'll find our schedule of upcoming events as well as the links to our archived webinars, and those archived webinars often include the PDF handout. We have a lot of upcoming activity. We have July and August are actually packed with all sorts of interesting webinars. We have our next Investment Club webinar will be on July 19th. Our next Lunchtime Stock Club webinar, where we'll talk about stock ideas and the state of the market, will be July 11th. And our Toolkit User Group will be Tuesday, July 5th. That's our regularly scheduled webinars, but we have a couple of additional webinars that we wanted to tell you about. The first is a free webinar for subscribers to our Stock Central or Equity Research Service webinars. Those are sort of our services. Those are our sort of premium websites for stock investors. And Russell is actually going to be delivering a webinar entitled, "Is Your Brain Sabotaging Your Investments?" And now, Russell, I think it's a good time to welcome you to the webinar, and you can tell the folks a little bit about what this webinar is going to cover and why they might be interested in attending.
Well, I've been doing a lot of reading in neurobiology, brain function, and behavioral economics, and it turns out that your brain doesn't always make rational decisions, and it does have some little shortcuts and things that aren't particularly good for investment decisions. So we're going to go over some of those little shortcuts your brain makes and some avenues. Mainly be aware that these exist, that you can take to make sure the way the brain evolved doesn't cause you to make irrational investment decisions.
I've been reading the book about Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's partner in crime at Berkshire Hathaway, tidbits of Charlie's wisdom over the years, and he is also a big advocate of understanding some of the biases of the brain and the emotion that creeps in, and how to counter that with rational thought and acknowledging how difficult that can be sometimes. So I'm looking forward to this. This is next Tuesday, June 28th will be this webinar. and you can register at StockCentral or EquityResearchService.com. If you're subscribers there, you can log in. And then following this in August, or in July rather, at the end of July, we have another webinar that you've agreed to deliver on Are You Cooking Your Stock Selection Guide? Did I get that title right?
Yes.
And so
it's sort of an extension of this thing about your brain sabotaging. It will mainly go over where your biases might come in, especially in judgment calls on the stock selection guide, and ways to go over and sort of double check your judgment calls and make sure you're not being irrational or over exuberant, overly pessimistic.
Or overly confident, or
overly confident, yes.
Yeah, there are all sorts of overs that we want to make sure that we're not behaving as such. But these hopefully these webinars will be useful. We're looking at ways of expanding what we do at iClub Central in all of our tools. So I'm looking forward to these webinars as well. For those of you who are members of Better Investing, we have 2 webinars scheduled through Better Investing to cover Investment Club accounting transactions and the Investment Club reports in depth. And we've got 2 sessions on July 13th and on August 10th. The intention here is to provide a resource for new club treasurers, recently elected club treasurers, a kind of overview that you can sit somebody down and say, here are the basics of club accounting, here are the reports that are available and how you can interpret them and what you should provide your club members. And so I'll be delivering those 2 webinars. You'll find out more about those on the Better Investing website. I don't think they've been the links have been put up yet, but you will certainly, if you're a Better Investing member, get an email with information on those. But you might want to make note of those dates. These webinars, I think, would be great for those people who say, you know, I'm not really sure I could be a club treasurer. You'd be able to send them to these webinars. They'd be able to get a good overview, and that will be the intention of those webinars on the Better Investing side. So as I said, our summer is actually pretty busy with all sorts of online education activities. You can find out more at our Facebook page. If you like us there, look for iClub Central, and that will keep you up to date on all sorts of activities that we have going on and product releases throughout our suite of tools for clubs and individual investors. Now, I know I covered this at our last webinar, but I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that we have discontinued sales of Club Accounting 3 for Windows. We did that back in April, so we're no longer selling it. Shouldn't come as a big surprise. We were not selling more than a handful of copies of that program. New clubs were increasingly and almost universally, in fact, going to the myICLUB online platform. If you are using Club Accounting 3, there's no change as of this point. You can continue to use the program, but we, of course, would encourage you to move or to consider moving over to myICLUB to take advantage of all of the new features and the ease of use that the website and the online version offers over the desktop version. So please keep that in mind and contact our support team if you have any questions. And now we have another announcement, and we are going to be talking about this a lot. We want to make sure that everyone is aware of some changes in the official IRS deadlines that affect partnerships in the 2016 tax year. So Russell, why don't you explain what these changes are and what they mean to investment clubs?
Well, the change is that for most clubs, that your date for filing is going to be March 15th. It's been moved up a month. The text actually says the 15th day of the 3rd month after the end of the fiscal year. So most clubs end fiscal year December 31st. So 3rd month, 15th day after that is March 15th. This also then means it will apply to clubs that are disbanding. In that case, your short year, your fiscal year ends the day you disband. So you're going to get a month less to do that. Instead of the 15th day of the 4th month, it's going to be the 15th day of the 3rd month after you disband. So one less month to file your final tax return if you're disbanding, and one less month for those continuing. It's going to be in March now.
Have you heard anything from states? Are they following suit at this point, or do we think that they're going to maintain the April 15th deadline?
I haven't seen anything from states. I haven't heard anything from California yet. So that's something I should double check. I'll go and see our franchise tax board and see if there's any news posted there. But I haven't heard anything about at least California not changing their deadline for state taxes.
Now, for practical purposes, those clubs that are using the iCLUBcentral federal club tax printer aren't really affected. We've been releasing that in January. The last couple of years, the IRS has been getting those forms completed at the start, the end of the prior calendar year. So we've had plenty of opportunity to get those out. So the product availability for the club tax filing module, we don't anticipate at this point that it's going to be too affected. However, that assumes that your club treasurers are aware of this change and aren't scrambling at the last minute. But we'll continue to publicize this date and make sure that your club members know of this date as well. We do have a new member tax summary report that we have just released on myICLUB, and the idea is that you can provide that to your club members in advance of the K-1. Those club members can use that information on a preliminary basis to at least help estimate their their personal tax impact, or give that information to their tax preparer or accountant to guide them about the information that will be on the K-1 when it is generated. And because most club members have a big interest in getting their personal tax information from the club well in advance of April 15th, we expect that most clubs are going to be in fine shape and are already meeting that March 15th deadline, but that you just got to be aware that you can't do it, prepare your return on March 14th and then let it sit for a month. You need to get it in the mail and postmarked by that March 15th deadline. So as I said, we're going to keep promoting this and publicizing this. There are articles in Better Investing, but we just want to make sure that everyone is aware of this change. And interestingly, this change also impacts some corporate returns. Is it the personal, the schedule, the C corporation? Is that what it is, or the S corporation? Returns that have been due on March 15th, which are now due on April 15th.
I haven't checked that, so I don't know.
Yep. Okay.
Some S corporations are tax as partnerships, so theirs would be earlier also, so they might go to March 15th. All
right. So the IRS has swapped a couple of different filing categories. But I think partnerships, because a lot of the big partnerships, the master limited partnerships that have become more common, because they had until April 15th, it was generating enough requests for extensions and late filing that the IRS decided that it just wasn't worth it, and that to allow those big partnerships to have that late filing deadline, which just has a ripple effect with all of their investors. So I think that's part of what drove this as well. But just keep it in mind. Yep, Russell.
I just wanted to make sure. Clubs still thinking, oh, now we might be able to invest in a limited partnership or some sort of publicly traded partnership for the club. Their filing deadline and yours are still going to be the same, so you still may not get a K-1 from them until it's already your deadline. So
Right.
it still makes them still a hassle to hold in a club account.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. If their deadlines are March 15th and your deadline's March 15th, you're going to be stuck in that same boat of perhaps requesting an extension. All right, so let's talk now. I'm going to go over some of the new features we've added at myICLUB. As I said, we're in active development mode right now with myICLUB. Our development team moves from product to product throughout the year, and sometimes they're working on internal projects that support the back office, the back end support team, and other times we're enhancing the products with additional functionality. So we've been working the last couple of months a lot with myICLUB. A lot of little changes along the way, but we've got some new reports and some other minor changes that we think are going to help make things a little easier for certain situations. There are now 36 reports and charts at myICLUB, which is just phenomenal. More charts than any other investment club website or our Club Accounting 3 program. So we're really trying to be the leading provider of all sorts of metrics that you can use to help your club to become more successful. We have a simple gain-loss report. We've had the benchmark performance report and the valuation statement that has the total return. The gain-loss report just simply has well, I'll show you. It's a simple percentage gain, percentage loss of your securities in your portfolio. We have the year-end member tax summary report, which I'll show you, and we have a new earnings per share growth rate diversification report and chart. We've also renamed several reports. We had some reports that just bugged me. We had the individual unit ledger, and then we had the individual security ledger. And both of those made me think of members, but the individual security ledger had nothing to do with members. So we renamed the individual unit ledger to the member unit ledger, because that's what it actually reports on. And we renamed the individual security ledger simply security ledger, because that's what it is. We also had our cash contributions report, which was really a report of member transactions and member deposits. So we called it the member deposit report. So hopefully those will make those reports a little clearer. On the allocation of income and expenses report and the transaction summary reports, there was a 5-year capital gains category. That 5-year category for capital gains was only in effect for, I think, just about 2 years, maybe a little bit less. It was one of those ideas that was meant to help support long-term investing and by offering a lower tax rate. And of course, every time Congress authorizes a lower tax rate, they find new ways to spend money, so they've got to eliminate lower tax rates. So the 5-year capital gains rate went away. So it was being shown on reports, but it really only was relevant if the report covered a period that rate was in effect. So we've kind of cleaned that up a little bit, which should make things a little less complicated on that capital gains report or the allocation report. The unit value, we added it to the valuation units ledger report. That valuation units ledger would show the number of units, but not the unit value. So this is useful if you're tracking your personal stake in the club and you want to track the unit value over time, just like you would any other security. So now that report provides that functionality. A useful thing we think for cash accounts, we can now set them as inactive. Once you set it as inactive, they don't show up in that drop-down box when you're entering cash transactions. So whenever you're transferring money or whenever you're entering expenses, a lot of times people had to scroll down through several bank accounts that they're no longer using to find the currently active cash accounts. So if you go to the cash accounts page, the treasurer can set those as inactive. We have the clear data function, where you could wipe out all of your club data, and again, you needed to be an administrator or a financial partner for that. And the downside was that it was very easy to do. We said, do you want to clear your data? And if you said yes, we cleared your data, and there was no confirmation or no instructions to make a backup. So we've added some confirmation to that, and we've added an automatic backup functionality, and just trying to make sure that people don't make that fatal error of wiping out their entire club transactions inadvertently. And then on the invite visitor and add member page, we have a customizable default text there, which should also be useful. So this is that portfolio gain loss report that I talked about. So simple over here, percentage gain loss over time, as well as the dollar amount of gain loss over time. So similar to the evaluation statement, but it just provides a little bit of additional information and kind of a simple approach to see where you're making money and where you're not. Again, there's no time element to this percentage gain loss, so we don't know if one value is good, bad, or indifferent. It really depends on the number of shares you own. You do have the date of the first purchase, but you don't know about any subsequent purchases in this report. This is the crux of the member tax summary report. Basically, it's the information that comes out of the allocation report at year end, and it's generated by member. So each member can generate their own, and it's got their share of income, deductions, and credits for the tax year that you select. So again, after the club treasurer at year end finalizes the entire, all the transactions and is pretty sure that things are in a near final state, this report can be accessed by the members, and then they can use it to kind of get a leg up on any tax preparation needs. If they see they've got a lot of capital gains, that they might acknowledge that they need to be looking for some higher capital gains taxes, for instance, or if they have losses, just might help them with their tax preparation, particularly with the earlier year, your earlier filing date for the 1065. We have another report and chart that is the earnings per share growth rate diversification report and chart. So this report here, this is the graph part of it. We break down the projected analyst estimate growth rate, or our take stock estimate, into a couple of categories. We have less than 7%, we have 7 to 12%, here's 7 to 12%, here's less than 7%, or greater than 12%. Roughly the minimum target breakdowns for the different sizes of companies, as Better Investing suggests that we invest in. And hopefully your club will have the biggest chunk over here in earnings growth, estimated at greater than 12%, and very little of it over here in the less than 7%. Now, these are analyst estimates, so we have some that are, can be quite low. These are 5-year estimates. The percentages here are the percentages of ownership of each company. They're not the actual percentages. If you look at the report as you scroll up, it will have the actual analyst estimates. And again, those estimates can be way off the mark from your stock selection guide, but again, the focus on a growth portfolio is growth, and you're only going to get capital appreciation from the stocks you own if the underlying earnings are going up. So that's why I think it's important to focus on the growth rates of your companies, and this can certainly be a graph that if you printed this out every month at your club meeting, and hopefully you strove for a faster growing portfolio, you would see the number of companies in the greater than 12% earnings growth grow faster. So as I said, we're using the analyst growth rate estimate for the next 5 years, as is included in Better Investing and StockCentral data files, and for those companies for which that growth rate is not available, then we're using our take stock algorithm, which looks at the recent growth and the long-term growth and makes an estimate based on our rule set there. All right, this next feature in the adding a member or inviting a guest, we've always had the ability here to allow you to type in a custom message that would go out with the email to new members or new guests, and you would put their name and their email address, and then you can click OK here. But this text here, you could really, if you had a default that you like to use, the program wasn't saving it. So now we have the feature that allows you to type in, or you can copy in the text that you use, and then you click the button here, Save Above Text as Default. The next time you return to this particular function of adding members or inviting guests, there will be instructions here that have been pre-populated. And it's separate. Add member is separate from invite guests. So the invite guests can give you a sense of the the different instructions for each case as you're bringing people onto your club website. Again, little features like this we think make the program a little easier to use, and we've got a bunch more that we're working on as we go along. Over here is our club website. I'll show you one thing we're working on right now. You may have noticed the club sentiment index on the left side of the home page. As you scroll, as you come to the website, and here is where you can vote on whether you believe the stock market will be going bullish, going up, going down, or will be neutral over the next 12 months. Every time, once a month, you can vote here. You can change your vote during the month. So what direction you feel the stock market will be in the next 12 months. I think I'm going to be in the bearish camp, so I will vote bearish, and you can see the percentages here. But we've added now some tracking of these over time, so there's a link here that shows you the bullish in blue, the neutral in black, and the bearish percentages in green. So over time, the idea is you can certainly, since January 2015 when we started tracking this, you can certainly see that the bullish indicator has gone down and the bearish indicator kind of reached a peak at the start of the year, but has since kind of gone down a little bit since then. And then we'll be looking, this is a work in progress here, this is the S&P 500 change for the next 12 months from January 1st, 2015 to January 1st, 2016, the S&P 500 was down 2.2%. So actually, all of these bullish indicators over the next 12 months, 47% of club members thought the market would be bullish. They were actually wrong because the market went negative in the next 12 months. This bearish group down here was actually kind of smart. So we're going to kind of correlate this, but I think the idea over time will be to discover if, like individual investor sentiment, if club members are any smarter about the year ahead market performance expectations. And I think this experiment could be really interesting. So you can vote once a month, and then the next month you'll be asked to vote again where you think things are going. You can change it during the month, but then at the end of the month, we tabulate the percentage bullish, bearish, and neutral over time. You can see this neutral category kind of just creeps along at that 40% point. It's at the highest it's ever been as of last month. As at the end of May, at 48% neutral for the year ahead, the 12 months ahead. So again, something that I think is interesting, something I think that might give us a sense of how club members react to the market and how they perceive the market in the face of all the noise that we get from the internet. So if you have some questions, let us know. I see that Karen has some questions about converting to myICLUB from Excel Excel spreadsheets. And again, just the problem is that you can't find new treasurers to be treasurers of your club when you're using Excel, and really the only way to do it is to set a point in time and then do a switch over of your club data as of that point in time. There are plenty of places to go for historical stock prices. We have them here at myICLUB that you can help recreate transactions. And it's going to take some legwork, but the sooner you do it, the better, because you're probably not providing your club members with the optimal experience because you're not taking advantage of the weighted returns and the weighted ownership and the weighted allocation of expenses. When you're just doing it on a simple mathematical level, the more disparity you have in your club, the greater the imbalance there can be. And that's just not a very fair way to treat club members when there is an alternative that's available.
Yeah, I did something similar when our club started, and it was about 7 years before I switched over to the software. I decided to enter all past transactions. It took about 1 hour for each year of transactions. So that gives you an idea of how long it's going to take if you decide to do all of that. Their particular club is over 20 years old, so probably a snapshot, do the switchover method would save them a lot of time and work.
Yeah, and they could, you know, if you did 5 years of transactions or 10 years of transactions instead of all 20 years, you could probably, I think at that point, your results would be pretty close to, you know, you'd have enough history to generate a realistic point of view. You know, I don't know if it's 5 years would be the magic number or 10 years, and again, it depends on how many clubs there are. But yeah, those are the realities of the situation. So it's just very difficult. But and we try to, you know, we have the tools, the instructions to help with the changeover. If you're using Club Accounting 3, it's very straightforward to switch over to myICLUB. For those types of transactions, you know, you can export it from Club Accounting 3, import it, and then you spend a little bit of time doing cleanup, entering the member information, making sure it's correct, and then you can go. You're up and running. So that switchover is just about as painless as it can be. But yeah, if you're using the old spreadsheets, or even worse, if you're using a paper method, then things get really complicated very quickly. You know, Russell, do you have any sense of how when people are converting from spreadsheets, when they get done, do the results that the computer program calculate, are they close to what the people have been assuming the results have been when and the ownership has been as the basis of the spreadsheet?
I don't remember enough. I remember mine when we did it. Unit value units were within a 100,000th of a unit.
Uh-huh.
So pretty good.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
The other thing, it would have been worse. When I was doing it, I changed the unit value immediately, including expenses, while the software waits and doesn't change it till your first valuation if you've bought a stock. So that wasn't, but I worked out how to get around that. So, and of course, people can always, if they're doing a switchover, they can put in a support request, and someone will help them out. Probably me. It'll probably get assigned to me.
So Larry has a question about BrokerSync, which is our tool to bring in your your broker data and automatically import it. You know, we say we've got, we recommend that you back up your data before you use the broker sync. And then we have a couple of different brokers that we support: Folio, TD Ameritrade, Schwab, and Scottrade. So Larry says when you use the import from TD Ameritrade, should you use the year or just a recent amount of time? And if you use the full year, does this have any effect on your accounting? So we're looking at launching some new brokers here, but the idea is that you'll have to, that we're not saving your username and password, which is why we have this screen that allows you to import the records. So you enter your username and your password here. Now, our recommendation, if you're doing week to week or month to month imports, we recommend using the last 90 days to bring in that 90-day, and it will not duplicate transactions that you've already imported if you do that. But sometimes some transactions, brokers will add transactions, you know, and backdate them. So, you know, you check your statement today and you didn't see a transaction, you check it tomorrow and now there's a transaction that happened 10 days ago or a week ago. So that's why we recommend that 90 days you go back in time and try that. So that's our recommendation. We think you should, again, back up your data first so that you've got a backup in the backup manager, which is also here in the utility section, and then import the data into your broker and check it out and make sure it's working right there. TD Ameritrade was one of the first that we launched, so it should be working pretty well. So you can go from there. Yeah, Karen says if you're doing that switch over from the spreadsheet, yeah, you know, I would say start, instead of starting 10 years ago and working forward, you start with this year and then, or, you know, the year to date, and then you go back and you do last year, and then you go back and do the year before, and you just, you know, if you did it that way and you did 1 year, 1 or 2 years every month, and let people know as the process is unfolding that the data is subject to change. I think, you know, you would get to a point where you would add a year and it didn't have any material impact on your ownership, that beginning balance. So Russell, is that overly complicated way of doing it? Would you have to make adjustments to the beginning balances every time, every time you started a new year?
Yeah, I wouldn't start at current year. I would, if you're going to do it, decide whether you want to get all the transactions in, so you're going to start from scratch and enter everything, or if you want to do a switch over. For 23 years, I would lean towards a switch over, and just decide how far back you want to go.
Okay.
And what you do is you take a snapshot, you put all the beginning balances in, and then you can add years going forward, how many every years you want. So if you say we want to go back 5 years, which would be like 2011, you do a switch over 12/31/2011, okay, and then you start entering individual transactions starting January 1st, 2012. That would, I think, because if you start with the current year and then add the back years, you're changing all the unit value, and it's
Okay.
going to be a lot more stress and problems going that way. It's easier to start at the switchover, decide whether you're doing everything or a switchover, decide what year you want to do the switchover, and then go forward from there.
All right, so my bad idea. You know, when I started my club in 1993 or 1994, we used a paper and pencil method for, and in spreadsheets for maybe a year or so before we switched to software. So we were able to enter all the data, get all the data moved over pretty easily, and then go from there. We actually used, there was at one point, there was another product that Better Investing sold. So we had to switch from one software to the EasyWare program at some point. And again, I mean, it was interesting for me. It was a good way to learn, but I was only talking about a couple of years worth of data, so it wasn't very difficult for us to make that move over. It's always a good idea to, even if you're getting started here, to get acquainted with the backup manager. The backup manager here in the accounting utility section is a way for you to make ongoing backups, and they're online, they're not downloaded, so you can make an infinite number of backups. So you can see here there's 10 backups for this club, and you can recover any one of them. And this is just good if you've entered a chunk of transactions and you come across some transaction that seems really complicated and you're not at all sure about how to do it. We recommend you go to the backup manager, make a backup, then go ahead and try to enter that complicated transaction. If it messes up, go back to the backup manager, click the recover button over here, restore your data back. So we move back in time to before you messed everything up, and now you can try it again. We also recommend using the backup manager on a periodic basis to back up your data, to prevent maybe somehow there are all sorts of ways that people get their data into problem states. So using the backup manager, you make sure you've got these online backups. Again, the club administrator or financial partner has access to these, not the club members, but it's easy to make a backup at any time. Just click the Make Backup button here. You can also click on these and download them, and you can save any of them to your computer. It works just like the Export Accounting Records function, which is also here. You click on the Export button, it's creating the same file as of right now, but it doesn't save it online. It just exports it down to your computer, and you can save that file. So you can see here I've got two files exported or downloaded rather in my browser in the bottom left, one using the export function and one using the backup manager. It's redundant, but it's meant to help you protect your data, make sure that you've always got a backup available. And again, we back up, all of our servers and databases are backed up on an ongoing basis, but that protects our hardware and software from catastrophic loss of the entire system, our entire network. It's not meant to protect your club from something that you did wrong. It's not at all easy for us to go back 3 months ago and recover your club's data. We'd have to recover every club's data as of 3 months ago and all of our systems as of 3 months ago. So our redundant ongoing backups are not meant to protect your data. From your sloppy typing or misplaced mouse clicks. It's meant to protect the entire server network. So just point that out, a reminder again that the backup manager and the export function are your friends there.
And I'd just like to add something. If you want to be really after you export your accounting records, attach the data file to an email to some other member in the club, so you're storing them in multiple places. This goes back farther, but we've had treasurers' computers ruined by fires, floods, even one treasurer who was murdered and they couldn't get to their computer for a couple of weeks. So yeah, we try to make people tell them, make multiple backups, store them with multiple people, and you're much less likely to lose data and have to re-enter your records.
Yeah, and this is why the myICLUB is just far superior than the Club Accounting 3. With Club Accounting 3 for Windows, your entire club history is based on one person who has the club's active records. If anything happens to that person, if that person's computer crashes, if that person forgets to make current backups, neglects to make backups, then your entire club data is in jeopardy. So we, with myICLUB, you can have a backup treasurer, you can have an administrator, you can assign a new treasurer. The data is out in the cloud, it's secure, it's protected, and yet it's accessible by all the people who need to access it. So the myICLUB really is a superior tool from that perspective. And yeah, I mean, you've heard the stories, I've heard the stories, I've heard of treasurers who became institutionalized, and again, no one can get to the computer. The family, doesn't know what was going on and won't allow access, and so now that data is in essence lost. Although everyone knows where it is, no one can get to it. The family is dealing with serious issues, and the investment club is the least of their problems. So with myICLUB, you can avoid all sorts of hassles like that for sure. Karen asked about the cost of myICLUB. We'll go right over to the iClub website, and you can see the various options that are available. Because it's a web-based tool, myICLUB works just as well on a Mac as it does on Windows. It works on Unix, Linux, you name it, Android. Works on iPhones, tablets, anything in a web browser. We are not doing all sorts of functionality that would require you to have sort of plugins or other tools like that. So everything is pretty straightforward. The current pricing for the myICLUB, there it is. Which is available for a 2-month trial. You can sign up. The 1-year price is $79.99, and the 2-year price is $129.99. If you are a StockCentral subscriber, it's $69.99 for a year, $119.99 for 2 years. So you get a break if you sign up for the multiple year transactions there. But as I said, when you start a club, you get a free trial period where you have access and you can start entering data before you're actually using the program. So that gives you some functionality here. And there are webinars. We've got webinars that show how to start a club and how to bring over your club data that you can review as well. If we log out here, I'll log out and you can see. Sign up for the free trial using this link here, and that'll give you a 60-day. So just a short form. You don't even need a credit card to sign up for that 60-day free trial to get you started there. Al asks if people have both myICLUB and Toolkit 6, etc. Yeah, we have. Our user base, we have a lot of investment clubs that use myICLUB or Club Accounting 3, and they have members who, barely contribute to the stock research and might use the better investing tools. And then as that pyramid goes up at the very top, we have members who have everything that we offer. Use all of the tools that we offer, have better investing memberships and StockCentral subscriptions and Toolkit and SSG Plus and MyStock Prospector and StockCentral and Equity Research Service. Our target user at ICLUBcentral as a subsidiary of Better Investing, of course, we support Better Investing members and Better Investing tools, but we also support anyone who wants to use long-term, sensible investing products and tools, which is why we have a suite of, as you see on this page, all of the different websites and programs that we sell currently and support, our newsletters, etc. So we do have a lot of people who use myICLUB. myICLUB doesn't have a lot of stock analysis functionality. There's not really very much there. We have some portfolio functionality that's built in, but that's about it. All right. Well, Karen, I wish you the best in your conversion. We have a great team, so you can reach out to our support team at iClub, and they have, I will also point you to our support tab here. We have an FAQ. As you scroll down, Where is that link? Where if you click on myICLUB, you've got the link of how to start things up. But we have an FAQ that's got all sorts of articles. You can see how things are, how often things are viewed, tips on how to use it. So you want to, if you look up, switch over method, it'll give you a whole bunch of links. Here's entering beginning account balances that we've talked about, how that works, how it works in the program, switching over for pen and paper. So there are all sorts of keywords, beginning balances you can click and you can link to. We also, for myICLUB, we have a manual, and we're updating that manual this summer, but it's a printed manual or a PDF that you can get. You can download the PDF in the help section from the website, and you can that'll get you some guidance on instructions for how to switch over, what things you need to consider as you're moving over there. Don says, can you show us where to sign up for the seminar for Russell's webinar on Stock Central? If you go to Stock Central and log in there, so here it is. I'll go ahead and I will log in to the website, and then in the message boards, I posted an announcement earlier today. So here in the forums section, and I put it in the classroom here because it's an educational session. So the classroom, and you can see Stock Central subscriber webinar. So click on that link. Check your email. We did send out at the end of last week or earlier this week, we sent out an email to all Stock Central and ERS subscribers, and we have another email that's going out, I think, tomorrow or Friday. So you should get that if you are eligible for it. All right. I think that about wraps it up. Russell, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday night for that fascinating sounding webinar, Is Your Brain Sabotaging Your Investments? I think the answer is yes, your brain is sabotaging your investments, but what we're going to learn is what we might be able to do about it. How's that sound?
Okay. Sounds good.
Good. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you at our upcoming webinars and next month at our next iClub Central Investment Club webinar. Hope your summer goes well. We'll see you next time.